Each week we check out a new gun museum. We call it the Firearm Museum Tour. A big part of our Gun Show Loophole Tour is checking out the firearms museums around the country, and we know that they're all interested in getting more visitors and more awareness. So we're going to help by featuring a new museum each week. We're touring the firearms museums of the United States, and next up is another impressive museum. This one's in Utah, and it's the Browning Firearms Museum. So there's a firearms museum for his father, Jonathan Browning, in Illinois, but this is the John M. Browning Museum in Utah. Our first visit was in 2012, and I'd been to a couple of firearms museums at that point, but going to the J.M. Davis, or going to the John Browning Museum, is what really got me interested. It showed the differences, the diversity of the types of firearms museums we've got, and it really got me hooked. After being to the big firearms museum that the NRA curates in Virginia, the National Firearms Museum, experiencing that a few times, and then going to the J.M. Davis Museum, I'd seen quantity and impressive specimens. Going to the John Browning collection brought history into it in a whole different level. Not only do you get to see his workshop and some of his actual earliest creations, but you can walk outside of the museum and touch the factories that he invented the various firearms in. And walking on the ground and hanging out in the town that John Browning hung out and walked around in is a whole nother level. So the John M. Browning Museum is not the largest, it's not the easiest to get to, and it's not the most impressive, but it's one of the more authentic and one of the more experiences. Again, you can walk outside of the building and outside of the museum, which is in a train station in the town, and literally walk to the other buildings. Probably drive for a lot of people, but you could literally walk if you wanted to the various factories where he invented and created and produced some of those firearms that, of course, are still in operation today. So it's in Ogden, Utah, which is just south or just north of Salt Lake City. There's plenty of things to check out, especially gun-related stuff in the area, so it's worth checking out if you're ever in the area. Worth taking the time to get up there. I think it's almost open every day. Costs just a few bucks to get in. It's upstairs at a train museum at an old train station, and not huge, but the pieces that are there are interesting and representative of such a prolific career. You've got actual historic elements there, items from his workshop, for example. There's a video there that'll give you a really good rundown of the man and his accomplishments, and then, of course, a small museum of some of the specimen pieces. Since Browning would take apart his prototypes and turn them into the next gun often, or modify them into the next design, there aren't specimens like he didn't keep a bunch of artifacts. So there's his tools and his workbench, that kind of thing, but the rest of it is, we see in what remains from his designs, the stuff that was built from his ideas. This is the train station. As you go in, you'll go upstairs, and it's on the second floor of this area of the building. So if you park on the north side, you're good to go. Accessibility is pretty darn good. There's a spiral staircase going up to it, but there's also elevators. All right, so that's the John M. Browning Museum in Utah. Highly recommend you check it out if you're in the area. We feature it as the first item in the calendar. And if you're planning on attending, let us know. If you've been there, link us to your photographs and tour. And until next time, thanks for watching. So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.